Never thought my own sister would try to sabotage the most important day of my life, but looking back now, I realize I probably should have seen it coming much earlier. Because for as long as I can remember, everything between us has always felt like a competition. I'm 30, she's 27, and growing up, whether it was attention, achievements, or even moments that were supposed to be special, she always found a way to make it about herself. Like blowing out my birthday candles before I even got the chance, or in high school, dating my ex just 2 weeks after we broke up, like it meant absolutely nothing. And no matter what she did, my parents always brushed it off so casually, saying things like, that's just how she is, as if that somehow made everything okay. But this time, she crossed a line I couldn't ignore anymore. I got engaged in June, and it was everything I had ever dreamed of. A perfect sunset on the beach, the kind of moment you imagine your whole life. And we carefully chose our wedding date for April 22nd, locked in the venue, sent out the save the dates, and everything was perfectly planned. Then just 2 weeks later, my sister announced her engagement, and at first, I was genuinely happy for her, because I thought maybe this could finally be a fresh start between us. But then she called me and said, just so you know, we picked our date. And when I asked when it was, she paused for a second and said, April 22nd. I actually laughed at first because I thought she had to be joking, but when I reminded her that it was my wedding day, she just said, completely serious. I know, and then added that hers was in the evening so people could just go to both. I sat there staring at my phone, trying to process it, and explained that it wasn't realistic because the venues were in different cities and people would obviously have to choose, but she just shrugged it off and said, whoever cares about me will be there. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't a coincidence. She did it on purpose. I didn't argue. I didn't create drama. I just said okay and hung up, but inside, I was done, not angry or even sad anymore, just completely done. Over the next few weeks, I didn't say anything negative about her to anyone. I just kept things normal and casually mentioned my wedding details in conversations, and almost every time people would realize on their own that both weddings were on the same day, all I would say was, yeah, looks like it, and that was enough, because slowly people started connecting the dots, questioning her choices and understanding the situation without me having to explain anything. Even my dad, who never takes sides, went unusually quiet about it. I never asked anyone to choose because I didn't have to. Then the week of the wedding came, everything was ready, guests confirmed, dress fitted, and suddenly my sister texted me asking how many people were actually coming to mine. I told her honestly, most of them. And after a long pause, she replied saying that a lot of people had RSVP'd no to hers. I didn't argue or rub it in. I just said, I hope your day is still beautiful. Then April 22nd finally arrived, and it was exactly how I had imagined it. Perfect weather, a full venue, and every seat filled with people who genuinely wanted to be there. During the reception, my mom pulled me aside and told me that my sister's wedding had started late and barely anyone showed up. Less than 20 guests out of the 80 she had invited. I stood there quietly for a moment, just processing everything, because this wasn't about winning, it was about consequences. Later that night, as I was leaving my reception, I saw a missed call from her and a message that said, I didn't think they'd actually choose you. I looked at that message for a few seconds, then locked my phone, walked back inside, and spent the rest of the night celebrating with people who never made me feel like I had to compete for love. Because at the end of the day, it was never really about the date. It was about who people choose to show up for when it truly matters.